Hi, I'm Linda Rumpf, reading tutor and parent support coach. And welcome, welcome, welcome. This week we are talking about working memory and what we can do to support our readers who have difficulty with working memory. So, working memory, as we talked about yesterday, is our ability to access memory to use it for tasks. And one of the things that can be noticeable in struggling readers is that they have trouble converting short-term memory um, or reaccessing things they've just learned recently into accessible information to complete reading tasks with. So we talked yesterday about repetition. And today, so one of the ways that we create repetition with students who have working memory issues is through pre-teaching. And so yesterday we said that these students respond well to receiving a word list or vocabulary list pulled from the text they're about to read, and to go over that before they see the words in the text. So it's a way of creating a first repetition of seeing the words. So they first see the words on a list, they go over them with their tutor and receive instruction where they might not recognize a phonics concept or a spelling concept. They practice the words first. So then when the tutor takes them through the reading passage, they see the words again in context. So pre-teaching creates the first repetition of seeing the words. Now, tonight we're going to talk about spacing of tasks. So I want to read to you something from research on spacing, the spacing effect. And it has to do with how we space tasks and the level of difficulty of the tasks and how we organize those for the best possible encoding of memory. And the results of this study were a little surprising. This is an older study, but I thought it was good to bring it back up because it really supports something that I do in guided reading that I've seen make a huge difference with my students who have working memory issues. So what they did in the study was they looked at presentation of information with tasks in between the presentation of the information 2 different times. So if you have, they're putting activity between the presentation of items, number 1, to test memory, and number 2, to see what kind of activities in between 2 presentations of, say, vocabulary word lists, what type of activity in between reinforces the memory better. And they tested easy tasks and difficult tasks for those tasks in between the 2 presentations of the vocabulary list. And what they found was that recall performance following 2 presentations which were separated by a difficult task was consistently better than performance following 2 presentations separated by an easy task. So all of you parents who feel like your students who have IEPs and aren't showing very quick progress ever need to be more challenged, this supports your feeling. So this research is from the Journal of Verbal Learning and Verbal Behavior. And the article is called The Spacing Effect, Consolidation or Differential Encoding. It's by Robert A. Bjork and Ted W. Allen, in case you want to look it up. And it is older research, but it's really good research, and it points to something very important. So I want to now explain how this would look in a lesson. So if I present the vocabulary list and I have the student attempt to read the vocabulary list, new words, maybe some words they haven't seen or word patterns they're not familiar with, and we go over that list and I teach the phonics patterns that they need to know until they're comfortable with the list, okay? And then we go on and read a passage with those words in the passage. That's a difficult task, because now we're not just writing the words 10 times, like you would normally do with a spelling list that you're trying to memorize. Recopying is an easy task because we have a word right in front of us and we're recopying it. We don't really have to remember anything. And it's very straightforward. If you have, like, one of the old ways that teachers used to use for memorizing spelling words was to just have the student recopy the word 10 times. And then at the end of the week, after looking at these words over and over, you're supposed to be able to reproduce them on a spelling test. Well, some children could do that, but what this research that I'm talking about tonight found is that if you put a difficult task in between being presented with this word list and then having to reproduce it in a spelling test, your memory will actually be better. So if you then have to read these words in context, that would be a more difficult task, right? So why is it that having a more difficult task helps your memory? Well, it's because of how encoding works in the brain. So when more of your brain is engaged to try to encode these words into your memory, then your memory is better. Okay, so I just thought that was really interesting. Sometimes we want to make things easy for a student, and it's not as good for the memory as presenting a bigger challenge. So that's why I always have my students really try to grapple with words in a reading passage, words they've just learned. And it really, really helps their memory. So that is your tip for tonight, short and sweet. And tune in again tomorrow for tip number 3 about working with students with working memory issues. Thanks for being here. If you're watching this on replay, comment replay underneath on the Facebook page. And if you're seeing me for the first time, you can also, and you're interested in receiving more help with your reader who has working memory issues, that is my specialty. I have taken my students with working memory issues and dyslexia up grade levels, multiple grade levels in short amount of time. So a grade level per 3 months, which is pretty short. So go to my website, myhighimpacttutoring.com, sign up for your free assessment, and I can't wait to meet you.